Hi, Mercedes, tuning in to share a little tip about gratitude. We hear about it everywhere, and it seems like everybody should have a gratitude practice, and that's all fine and good. But what do you do when you don't feel grateful? So, we just had Canadian Thanksgiving yesterday, and I was kind of feeling out of sorts myself, and I wasn't really feeling the Thanksgiving vibe. And so I started to look at that and ask myself, could there be other people who feel the same way? And what do you do when you don't feel grateful? And this goes beyond Thanksgiving, but there is something to it, right? You might scroll through your Facebook feed and see everybody's happy pictures and just not be feeling it, right? So if you're looking to shift your energy into gratitude right away, um, two things that I find are particularly useful um, is to, one, go to a source of power, source of energy, which is usually to go out in nature, and two, to do something that will create instant joy or happiness and help you come back to yourself. So this sounds kind of vague like this, but I'll explain a little bit more in a second. Um, and then if you're ready to do the work, before you actually do those two things that will shift, if you're brave enough to look at what it is that is triggering you and why you don't feel grateful, then perhaps you'll learn something valuable about yourself and about your beliefs that you can then change consciously to move out of that feeling, which then dictates how you react, and how you act, how you react, how you respond to outside influences and events. So, uh, first things first, for the brave souls who want to actually look at that, I'd suggest that you take a look at what it is that triggered you. So, if you had kind of a shift in your mood, was it perhaps a Facebook post that you saw that you suddenly fell off about? So, for example, maybe you saw somebody got a promotion and you've been particularly struggling with your work or feeling unappreciated or something along those lines, and you suddenly see this picture of somebody who got a promotion, and what it stirs inside you is maybe some envy, maybe some feelings of unfairness. Why is it that this person has got all the blessings and I don't? Or something along those lines, right? And so to take that further, you have a look at why is it that you feel that way? And so it's possible that you have a belief about that reality through which you interpret what you saw, or perhaps an interaction you've had with someone. So that's kind of your filter, right? And those beliefs are called agreements. You have an agreement that things are happening in a certain way, and so they do. And that's when you get into manifestation and such. So if you believe that you're not competent, or if you believe that good things only happen to other people, or that the industry in which you work is unfair, then you're creating that reality for yourself over and over and over again, right? So once you figure out that agreement, you can have a little ceremony for yourself, like a little puja, which is a ceremony where you write down the lie or the belief. I like to call it a lie, especially if it doesn't serve you, right? It's not true. It doesn't have to be true anymore. So you write down the lie that you believe about yourself or about your life or the situation that is particularly triggering you. And on the flip side of the piece of paper, you write the new reality that you choose to believe. And in a very safe way, you burn the piece of paper. And you can do it like in an aluminum container in a sink, or if you're lucky enough to have a fireplace, a wood fireplace or a fire pit outside, then by all means use that. But the the ritual becomes an opportunity for your conscious and subconscious and higher conscious mind to all agree on this new reality. And so when you get ready to burn this lie, call it out as a lie or as an old belief or an agreement that no longer serves you. Call it whatever you want. I like to call it a lie I choose to give up. I state the lie, and then I state my new truth. And then you burn the piece of paper and you express yeah, which is kind of a feeling of the ceremony. So that's one of the many ways where you can notice and give up an agreement that no longer serves you. And that's often the case when we feel we're out of sync with our own lives, or we feel that things are off, or we're particularly feeling worn out, we don't have enough energy, and when we feel ungrateful, right? So my suggestion to you would be, if you're ready to do the work, then actually notice if there's a pattern in the kinds of things that upset you and the types of triggers that set you off, right? And so I used to be really triggered by seeing images of other people's success. So whenever somebody would get a promotion, they'd get a gift from their boss, or they'd get a new client and then get a fancy new car, that type of thing. And so I wasn't wanting what they had. I just was seeing the success they were having and wanted that success in my life in whatever form that took. I didn't want the car. I didn't want the fancy outfit or necessarily the paid vacation, though that would have been nice. Uh, I really just wanted my own career and my own business to succeed in a similar way, kind of in an outward way that would prove to me as well as to everyone else that things were working, right? But eventually I outgrew that, and I also realized that I didn't really want what other people had. I just wanted my own version of it. And so other people having that didn't mean that I wouldn't have my own version of it ever. It just meant that they were at a different stage. And I was at a different stage in my career and my business as well. So that's a little tidbit. Hopefully it helps you explore the limiting beliefs that, or agreements that you have that make you feel ungrateful, that keep you in that negative space. And so now, if you're ready to shift that, the solutions are actually, or the high vibe activities, if you will, are much easier than rewriting an agreement. So it's just a matter of reminding yourself to do them. My two favorite ways of doing that are to go to nature. And so I live in the city, and it's easy for people to say, well, I don't have a lake or an ocean near where I live, or I don't have, a national park near where I live. So I don't really have a way to go to nature, and I don't have a car, so I can't drive to the country for a weekend away. But I live in the city, and I can walk to a little park from where I live, and in an opposite direction, I can walk to a little wooded area with a stream. And if I walk in another direction, there's another park. So depending on what it is that you find soothing, you can probably find a variation of it near where you live, or even hop on a bus or in a car to go a short distance and find that little piece of heaven, right? So I go to nature because I know that usually natural spaces have a way of um, reestablishing our energy and our connection. So, for example, when you go to a lake or an ocean or a river, the large body of water has a way of changing and restoring the balance between negative and positive ions. So electronics and modern day living has a way of shifting our body's um, electromagnetic field into overproducing positive ions. And so when we go to nature, we shift the balance back to there being more negative ions, which have this soothing effect on our body. So essentially, when there's a storm outside, like a huge thunderstorm, when it's over, the air feels different. And the way the air feels, it's much lighter, it has a soothing effect. There seems to be less noise in the air uh, because the storm's over. Well, and we think it's just, oh, you know, it's calm now because the storm's over. But actually, it has a physical effect on our bodies, which are magnetic fields, like I mentioned. And so there are ways to feel that sentiment in your body um, that are more than just waiting for a storm to happen, right? You can just find a spot in nature. So it could be a lake, a river, a stream. I really like water, but because it's so easy and has an immediate effect, you sort of lose track of time a little bit when you're near water. But it could be a hill or a valley or a garden. It could potentially be a vegetable patch if you have one. It could be a balcony garden, perhaps. And and that's another thing. I mean, if you can't go to nature or not as regularly as you'd like, then there's still a way for you to bring nature indoors with plants, which are an obvious choice, but also with fountains and with candles and little miniature-sized Zen gardens or gemstones. So find what it is that um, reminds you of the outdoors and of nature and kind of stirs that sentiment of peace and start including that in your day-to-day life. And then lastly, it's about doing something that will get you back into that high vibe place. So, usually, when we feel happy and joyful, we lose track of time, and we also feel deeply connected to who we are and the present moment. So, ask yourself, is there something that you love to do that makes you feel like um, you don't worry about anything at all? You forget any worries, any concerns, and you're entirely in the moment. Do you enjoy reading a book? Do you enjoy writing? Perhaps you like running, cycling. Maybe you're more artistic and you like drawing or crafts, or maybe you sew. Maybe you keep it simple and you just like coloring books, adult coloring books. Whatever it is that makes you feel positive and in the zone, it doesn't matter if it's not, your career. And in fact, it's amazing if it's something that you enjoy doing that has no other purpose than to make you happy. So if you can shift um, your thinking in reminding yourself that you can go to nature and do things that make you happy, that bring you back to the present moment, then gratitude will follow automatically, right? And so to tell you what I did to shift my energy during this Thanksgiving, I walked to a little stream that I have near home, and I proceeded to have a little water ceremony to help me shift back into my feminine energy of flowing with life and of receiving blessings and opportunities and attracting the right kinds of people into my life. And by right, I don't mean that there's right and wrong. I just mean that people who share my values, my interests, and my goals. And then I got home and I printed out my book manuscript and I held it in my hand and I started reading it because I like reading, but also because I like writing, and this is something I'd written, and it gave me this feeling of a great accomplishment because I'd been postponing doing this for a while, and I didn't set any kind of timeline for myself. I just sat and enjoyed reading and took notes, and it felt like I was just happy being me. So that's what I did for this Thanksgiving. I also had delicious food. But hopefully that was helpful to you. And if you have any questions, reach out, write a comment below the video, and do tell me how it is that you shift your energy into gratitude from feeling ungrateful to feeling positive, and regaining that high vibe into your life. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.